Hey, what's up, Shane?
All right. Hey, Sam. How's it going?
Going good? Gosh, always look forward to this time. I'm so glad we always reserve some time, even if it's Fridays where we don't record episodes, still having this time to kind of decompress, do a bit of a retroactive on the week. I always look forward to it. So, thank you again for, you know, your accountability and your time commitment, every Friday to meet with me. But yeah, I'm excited to talk about things today. Got so much on my mind. Um, how are you doing? How's the week been for you so far?
Yeah, it's been great. I would say what you said actually just reminded me of a post I recently saw about. It was a person who's like a multi-billionaire, and he said one of the best pieces of advice that he got was on weekends to we typically work really hard Monday through Friday, and then on the weekends, kind of take it easy, spend time with family, friends, etc. And he said that one of the best things you pieces of advice he got and things that you can do is actually to take that time away, have some time away, reflect back on what happened the week prior, and then also what you want to fix for the week going ahead. And I agree with you that a lot of ways these sessions and our podcast has been a container for I think both of us, and especially definitely myself, to download and decompress from what has been going on and really reflect back on all the stuff that I've learned, mistakes, things that I'd like to improve upon, lessons learned, all that fun stuff. So this has been a really great container, and I'm excited to hop into today's updates on what we've got going on, and maybe that's a good segue into your update and how things are going. What's going on?
Yeah, and you know what? I think a good time to just to let everybody listening, yeah, just to let everybody know that we're sort of changing our formatting. If you guys haven't, recognized already, we're doing slightly shorter episodes. The content is all still very much the same from last year. Updates, a bit of spin on SEO, engineering, AI education, and we're also slotting in something that we're calling like hot takes, or just kind of really hot off the press type news that I think deserves a little bit of voice as experts within our own field. So, just as an FYI, slight change to our recordings and our publishing schedule. With that said, yeah, I think how you framed it, like we use these Fridays as a way to contain and look back at the last 4 to 5 days of what we've accomplished. Um, yeah, that's something that I realized in myself in the last month and a half. That um, I'm not really sure exactly like what's given me this like clarity in my mind. Um, but I feel like I've been able to put my like time and effort into like my core areas. And we talk about this a lot, right? The core areas of like your life. For me, and I love alliteration, so I use the letter F for each of my core buckets: faith, family slash friends, fitness, and then focus. And yeah, I don't know why, like what I've done in the last month or two that is so drastically different from last year, but I've been so much more focused at giving my time appropriately across those four quadrants. Um, and I've been trying to think back and put my finger on like what it is that I'm doing better at, and I really haven't figured that out. And once I do figure it out, like I'll share it, but um, there's I have a few hypotheses. I'm not 100% sure if this is exactly the reason why, but it's moments like the Fridays that we spend to contain our thoughts and retrospect what we did well, what we did poorly for the last few days has set me up towards a better week. And what I mean by better, it's not more productivity or more volume. It's literally like spending the right amount of time on the right areas in the upcoming week. So, in fact, in addition to what we do on Fridays, I've started to do this thing on Sundays, Sunday night, where I give myself like the quietest time that I can find to start doing a deeper dive into the past week and plan out pretty rigorously, like almost to the not the minute, but like to the hour, as far as like how much time I want to spend on this area of my business with this person, with this challenge that I have on the fitness side of things. So I try to get very like dialed in, and I'm starting to think like that's my hypothesis as far as why like I've been so much clearer and so much I had such clear intent behind a lot of things, at least for the last 4 to 6 weeks. And yeah, it's been like where has this been in 2025? Like it's been such a wonderful feeling to have, and I think it, I definitely need to give a lot of people credit. It's not just me, it's um, people like in my life spiritually, you of course, my wife, and I think it's a total group effort. Of course, I don't want to downplay anything, all the things that I'm actively doing, but man, like something's working, and I almost want to put my finger on every little thing that I'm doing right to have that like clarity, because yeah, I want to hold on to this and harness it and maybe try to like maximize this feeling for the rest of the 11 months left in this year.
Wow, that's awesome. And yes, crazy that I had literally yesterday just saw a post about doing exactly what you have instated in your primary hypothesis there about deep kind of reflection and looking back at the past week, what went well, what didn't go so well, and then how to improve that and pre plan out for the next week. And I've also we're getting more intentional about that between Mary and I, and with the business, and then our family life and all of that, friends, all everything. Like you mentioned, the core areas, but it's been a little bit more hectic to set that time aside because our weekends are really heavily filled with family time with the girls and things, and so a lot of times what that means is, especially for us, because we don't have like grandparents that are within driving distance, reasonable driving distance and things. So it's not like we can just set them over to grandma and grandpa's and then have a half a day or a full day where we can just sit and do things. So a lot of our time actually is kind of disjointed because it'll be me with the girls, which is great because we get one-on-one time. And then Mary working on things that she wants to do. And then we'll flip that and kind of go through that progression. If you looked at the weekend in like four quadrants, we'll kind of flip flop two times each day, and it works out really well. But I have noticed something similar, that the more pre-planning and I guess reflection and then pre-planning that we do, the better we feel during the week and the more structure we have around it, and it feels like life just flows a lot easier. And all the books that I've read on that subject kind of point to the same thing of uh, this notion that you are a product really of your systems, not really of your goals and these intentions and these visions, but really what actually happens in your life is a function of the systems that you have in your life. And so you're not really, the one way I've heard it phrased is, you won't rise to the level of your goals, you'll fall to the level of your systems. And for us, we've been working very intentionally on creating those systems as ways to get back time and energy, as well as allow us to kind of be in that moment, be present, and be in the flow. Because when you have a lot, it's kind of this weird dichotomy where you feel like if you have all this structure, you're going to lose your flow, or things are going to feel rigid. But in fact, what happens is you gain so much clarity that you can be so much more present than you ever would be able to, because you don't have to worry about all the stuff that has passed or all the stuff that is going to come, because it's fairly well taken care of inside of this a system or multiple systems for you. So that's been a area of focus for us as well. And it kind of reminds me of what you were saying with getting into this point where you're investing your time into the areas that you want to be, and then you're actually executing and achieving that, and that great feeling of staying in that zone of genius, I would say. So
Yeah,
it's it's really
absolutely.
powerful when you get there, but it takes it, and then for people listening out there, it's not, I guess I should say, for some folks, maybe if you don't have a ton of responsibility, you could kind of turn this switch on very quickly, by just making conscious effort, and especially with AI now and reading some books, like you could certainly instate that pretty quickly. But I would say for most, it's just like picking up a new sport or going to the gym and picking up your fitness for the first time. You got to start slow and little wins, and then stack those over time, and then you kind of get to this point of one level of, I think what you're feeling is like a little bit of mastery almost of that phase that you're in. And so it takes time for everybody to get out there and to get to that level. So don't be disheartened if you start on this track and then you fall off for a little bit and you come back and you try a new, just a lot of trial and error but consistent effort to drive it forward.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I failed so many times already this week, but even just having the kind of barometer of what is success and what is failure, like that in and of itself is a big, at least for me, it's a big driver. Because, if I don't do something that I sought out to do, then, that's a point that I can't put on the scoreboard. And like that should eat away at me a little bit, right? Like that's taking away something of value to the quadrants that like I want to give my time and my energy towards. So yeah, and look, it's it's kind of creating a system where like you can control the things that you can control. And even the last 4 to 6 weeks where like I felt this like very clear mind and approach to every single week, like doesn't mean I think I had more worse weeks than better weeks in the last 6 weeks. Like it's been a rough start to the year. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying circumstantially, like the what I anticipated happening in the first 6 weeks just didn't happen, right? Like the number of deals, the number of leads, close rate, all that stuff that like maybe partially is within your control, but largely, there are some external factors that are just uncontrollable. Like things aren't always going to go the way you plan, even if you do some pre-planning and doing the retrospect. It's more the systems that you can control, and yeah, that continuous mindset of like, let's just keep showing up, make sure that we're spending our time in the right places, and the idea is that the law of averages start playing out, and over the course of 6, 12 months and multiple years, yeah, we see the fruits of our labor across all parts of our lives, not just business.
Oh man, totally agree. One of the my favorite things, thinking about that and kind of that consistent effort getting on the scoreboard is, I don't know if it traces originally back, but I know that it's in Atomic Habits by James Clear. And it is the mathematical equation that 1.01 to the 365th power is about 37.7x. And so the whole that's a mathematical way of saying 1% better every single day compounds pretty substantially. And so 1% better every day is a 37.7x gain from where you started the year at. And that you don't have to go out there and try and just double what you're doing right now, but that consistent 1% better every day really compounds over the year and multiple years. So just keep on that path and keep going, and yeah, some amazing things can come.
100%. And look, I guess it sounds like we're on similar paths on like the personal side of like motivation and keeping up with their systems. I definitely want to give you some time to give some updates to the listeners and to myself too, on more of the business side of things on Upnova's end. Anything exciting happen the last couple of weeks? What's super top of mind and a big priority for the company right now?
Yeah, I think to summarize our update here and segment is, one of the biggest things that I've taken away since our last episode and recording is I read a book called Profit First by Michael Michalowicz, and I have to say that book and Built to Sell are probably the two that if somebody was like, "Hey, I'm going to go get started in business," and they had an idea already, I would say like read those two books first. And to quickly summarize Profit First, it's a really great read because of the story of the author behind it and how it got formed. Of the traditional accounting, gap accounting, is basically where you run sales for your to generate revenue, and then you subtract expenses, and whatever's left over is kind of owner's comp and profit. And his whole notion is that is like such a backwards way to think about accounting and cash flow for your business. And as you could imagine by the title, he has created a really simple, straightforward system to essentially set aside profit first. And the methodology, if I was describing it to somebody who never read it, is um, if you have your business, you generate revenue or income. You then have a set of five envelopes. So, assuming you got these dollars physically, right? And this might be figuratively in a digital sense, where in the world we live in, but essentially you get five envelopes, and one is income. All your income goes into that envelope. And then the other four are profit, owner's comp, taxes, and operating expenses. And what you do is you just let all your money come into the income for over time forever. And then on the 10th and 25th of each month, you clear that account and you set aside certain percentages into the other four accounts. And you create these as separate checking accounts inside of a single bank, or if you need multiple banks, there's online fintech for this. And you can set up an automation where it moves that money automatically. And the whole thing there is that you can only spend what you have in your operating expenses envelope. And if you go out over that, you're going to cut into your profit and your owner's comp, and you're running an unbalanced business. And so over time, this will naturally lend itself to the business not only generating profit and covering owner's comp, but being prepared for taxes and controlling your OPEX. And it's just a super simple system that is, if you follow it, it's guaranteed to work. Like there's no way it wouldn't work. So we've implemented that now, have it running on a fintech called Relay Finance, a banking app. And yeah, we're all in on it. So I'm excited to see where that lands at the end of this year and give everybody an update. But just to get quick clarity on your cash flows for your business and understanding when you're ready to do things like hire, invest back into the business. Maybe you're going to get a brick and mortar, whatever the case is, this system sets you up for that.
It's awesome. It's awesome. When you think you know it all, you realize there's so much more that has to get figured out and implemented. And yeah, I think I think when I talk to a lot of, people that are going out on their own for the first time, that's sort of the last thing that people think about, right? It's more and rightfully so. I think it's just human nature to um, be sort of tunnel vision on, like, if it's in the case that you got laid off and you're taking the opportunity to go out on your own, then it's purely, okay, how can I make money to pay the bills? And that's where it starts and ends. Um, but once you start, achieving those milestones, there's a whole other kind of area of business management, and being financially sound. Um, so yeah, thanks for sharing that. I love. I forget the book that I read of his, but he's really good. I think he's a Jersey guy too.
Yeah, he
Which
is.
resonates
Yeah.
with me. Yeah,
Jersey guy. And yeah, he has a number of other books, The Pumpkin Plan, I think it's called, and things like that. So I'm going to dive into some of the others. But man, profit first, even if you just throw it through. And now with AI, and get downloading your transaction statements from your bank and your credit card and all that, having it analyze it under that lens, and then helping you work step by step. I mean, I set it up in literally, you could do it in under an hour, with the if you follow the book, and he's got a website to point you towards everything. So super powerful.
good stuff, man. And how's everything with the business? What's been going on the last few weeks?
Yeah, that it's been great. We're got a number of clients that are we're working on in kind of one-on-one engagements through a more productized methodical system for AI integration into their businesses. We've got a number of engineering firms, and I've also done some trainings for SaaS companies and things like that. But we're really seeing a lot of traction. And then we've got some other underlying engineering work that we do, very specialty, very niche. But it's been really amazing because we've been able to kind of test out and use AI and figure out what works inside of our own business on these projects, and then be able to kind of showcase that to our clients that are our main focus of AI enablement. And so, really have made a lot of headway over the last 6 weeks since the start of the year, and a lot of momentum and proposals out, awarded projects, and we're also ramping up for getting ready for the spring AI activation program that's going to launch on April 28th. Before that, we've got an awesome free masterclass, 90-minute masterclass on April 14th, just to kind of showcase what we're doing, look under the hood, and show what's possible.
It's awesome, man. Dang, it's gonna come by so fast, that April date.
Yeah,
Can't believe it. It just feels like you guys did your first like inaugural one, and gosh, we're already talking about the second one. It's crazy, crazy to think about.
yeah, it is. And yeah, so that's the update on our side. If anybody's interested, reach out to support at obnovit, obnovit.com. We'll get you the details. And yeah, on your side, give us a little business update of what's going on.
Oh gosh, how do I keep this short and sweet? Yeah, lots of really great movement as of late. One of the bigger goals was to get to a level of profitability that can trigger um, my next hire, which would be somewhere more on like the operational project management side. And I think we're going to get there in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So I'm starting to, you know, build out like a job description, trying to think back to my network to see, who are some um, likely candidates that I might already know. But yeah, that's one of the bigger goals that I had for Q1, and for it to come, well, knock on wood, for it to happen within the timeline that I had planned for is truly exciting. But we're not quite there yet, but we're almost there. And yeah, I think that's kind of the biggest thing happening in the last couple of weeks. Otherwise, kind of same old, same old. A lot of client delivery stuff, trying to keep up and hang on with the speed in which things are developing in my industry. But all good things, a lot of fun to kind of keep up with all of the changes. It's definitely getting me up in the morning to kind of learn so many new things within the SEO world right now. So yeah, nothing to complain about. Lots to do every single day, but like I said, I think taking stock of where I'm giving my time and effort has allowed me to, even as a one person show with the help of a subcontractor, it allows me to keep building momentum in the areas that make the most sense currently. So yeah, all good stuff happening right now. If anybody wants to talk SEO, reach out to me, Sam at KRSconsulting.com, or on LinkedIn, Sam Lee, and anything around personal, professional development. Reach out to us. We love talking about this stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. What a great way to end it, and with that goal right there in sight to achieve. So that'll be a great lead-in cliffhanger for the next episode of
Yes.
how this progresses, plays out, and then we'll get into the fun intricacies around hiring and maintaining employee relationships and all of that fun stuff. So then
Yes.
just grows from there.
Yes. 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 More to come. All right, Shane. Well, thanks for sharing, as always, and we'll catch you all on the next episode.
Yep, sounds good. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.